Welcome to this explainer. You know, every single year, millions of cars are sold globally, and they're all sold on a very specific promise. When we walk into a dealership, we're basically sold on this dream, right? The luxury, the thrill of the speed, and of course, the absolute guarantee of safety. As consumers, we just trust these incredibly complex machines to carry our families around without a second thought.
But what if the world's biggest auto brands have historically prioritized their profits over that exact safety? Today, we're going to examine the automotive industry's darkest secrets. We're talking about everything from deadly design flaws just swept under the rug to literal ticking time bombs disguised as safety features. We'll look at these systemic failures, not just as, isolated scandals, but as really critical lessons in why our regulatory systems desperately need reform.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. The illusion of automotive safety.
Let's start with the foundation of exactly how these vehicles are marketed to us. Luxury, speed, safety, and innovation. This shiny, flawless exterior is so carefully constructed to build up our consumer trust. But, as an industry safety regulator will tell you, there's a stark, almost disturbing contrast between that polished corporate messaging and the incredibly dangerous realities that these companies have actively tried to keep hidden from the public eye. Historically, corporate deception actually follows a really predictable, escalating pattern. In decades past, honestly, much like early industrial negligence, hidden design flaws were just ignored to save a few bucks. But then, years later, those unresolved flaws start directly compromising the physical safety of everyday drivers, leading to severe injuries and even fatalities. And today, because vehicles are mass-produced on such an unprecedented scale, these concealed mistakes explode into these catastrophic global disasters involving massive recalls and literally billions of dollars lost. The truth, eventually, always forces its way out.
Moving right along to Section 2. Deadly defects and deception.
So, let's examine how giant corporations can secretly manipulate the entire regulatory system. The year is 2015. This was the year the whole world discovered one of the most brazen ethical failures in automotive history. We suddenly learned that several diesel cars from Volkswagen had been explicitly and secretly programmed to cheat on their emissions tests.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer audacity of the engineering behind this deception. It was absolutely unprecedented. The vehicles were actually equipped with what they called defeat devices. This was software that could literally detect when the car was in a testing environment, and it would artificially reduce pollution to look totally compliant to regulators. But out on the road, during normal, everyday driving, they spewed illegal, highly harmful emissions. Dieselgate proved that self-reporting by automakers is just fundamentally flawed. It highlighted this urgent need for independent third-party code auditing and way stricter transparency laws to prevent this kind of malpractice from ever happening again.
But listen, deception regarding emissions is really just the tip of the iceberg. The danger gets so much more physical. Consider the Takata airbag defect. These were quite literally ticking time bombs installed mere inches from the driver's face. Just to save money, the manufacturer used a highly volatile chemical propellant that degraded over time. So when triggered, the airbags exploded with way too much force, instantly sending sharp metal fragments flying directly into the cabin.
And we are not talking about some obscure car model here. This was a massive, systemic failure. Millions of vehicles from major, trusted brands like Honda, Toyota, BMW, and Ford contained these dangerous devices. Millions of everyday car owners suddenly discovered they'd unknowingly been driving highly compromised vehicles for years. This massive oversight raises a really critical regulatory question. How do we pierce that corporate veil to hold executives directly and criminally accountable for systematic safety negligence that spans the entire globe?
As the source material tragically states, instead of saving lives, they became deadly weapons. I mean, devices fundamentally designed to protect us in our most vulnerable moments were instead responsible for horrific injuries. It triggered the absolute largest automotive recall in history, and honestly, more importantly, it directly eroded our consumer trust in the basic safety systems that we rely on every single day.
Which brings us to Section 3, the unintended acceleration mystery.
I want you to imagine the perspective of an everyday driver on their morning commute. You're cruising on the highway, and suddenly, your vehicle just completely takes over. This was the terrifying reality for drivers caught at the center of the Toyota unintended acceleration controversy. Reports of runaway vehicles caused absolute worldwide panic. Drivers recounted these horrific experiences where their cars accelerated completely out of control without any warning, and the brakes, they simply stopped responding, leaving them as completely helpless passengers inside their own speeding cars.
Massive investigations followed, of course, but pinning down the exact cause proved incredibly difficult. Was it human error, like pedals getting stuck on floor mats? Was it a mechanical failure? Or were there hidden glitches buried in the vehicle's millions of lines of code? To this day, that ambiguity really highlights the lingering, unresolved fears we still face regarding recurring mechanical risks. It also shows just how incredibly difficult it is for regulators to diagnose transient software faults after a crash has already happened.
Let's move on and see how this builds in Section 4, Connected Cars and Cyber Threats.
As we move away from purely physical defects, we have to face the chilling digital vulnerabilities of modern cars. Today's vehicles are essentially computers on wheels. They rely entirely on advanced software, cloud networks, and constant internet connectivity. But as our cars get smarter, the growing vulnerability of connected vehicle networks means that the threat of hacking expands dangerously. It moves from our smartphones directly into 2-ton machines traveling at 70 miles per hour.
And the specific dangers of this were proven in a really landmark cybersecurity experiment. Researchers were actually able to gain remote access to a vehicle's entertainment system from miles and miles away. From there, they infiltrated the core network, manipulated the steering, and took complete control of the brakes and the engine. They effectively hijacked a moving vehicle while the driver sat completely helpless inside. It proved definitively that cars are no longer just transportation. They are moving attack vectors.
And that leads us to our final part, Section 5, AI and the Uncharted Future.
As electric vehicles rapidly replace gas cars and artificial intelligence races to dominate transportation, we are stepping into a largely unregulated frontier. Safety experts are really sounding the alarm right now on emerging, totally unprecedented threats. We have to seriously consider the severe ethical implications of artificial intelligence making life or death driving decisions. We're also facing the reality of mass surveillance, as the very cameras meant to navigate our roads are out there harvesting our personal data. And if these autonomous systems malfunction, or entire fleets fall victim to remote cyber attacks, the scale of that danger is just something humanity has never faced before.
So the crucial point is this: behind all those futuristic designs and the grand promises of luxury, there lies a hidden world of billion-dollar scandals and highly dangerous mistakes. The truth is, cars are the most advanced, potentially lethal technologies we interact with daily, yet they are so often shielded by corporate secrecy. Moving forward, the automotive industry requires radical transparency, open-source safety protocols, and regulators with the actual teeth to enforce them, rather than just relying on these automakers to police themselves.
As innovation accelerates way faster than legislation, we are left to wonder, as cars become our most advanced daily technology, are the dangerous secrets just beginning? That is definitely a haunting thought to ponder the next time you slide into the driver's seat. If you found this explainer eye-opening, make sure to subscribe to the Clip Street channel, hit like, share, and comment down below on which automotive failure shocked you the most. We'll see you next time.